I'm still alive.
Why did Queen Elizabeth ask the Archbishop of Canterbury to give her a push at her coronation? How did the monarch become a Bond girl?
Good evening, Mr. Bond.
And what hilarious hidden talent has she used to entertain guests?
Isn't it good? Yes.
Hi, I'm Joy and you're watching OSA. I hope you've been practicing your curtsies because we're meeting up with the Queen. Okay, maybe the real Queen isn't as comfortable shaking her booty as this deepfake is, but she's been known to let her hair down in other ways. The coronation was just the start of the comedy.
There are some disadvantages to crowns, but otherwise, they're quite important things.
At her coronation in 1953, Elizabeth revealed herself to be the Queen of a different kind – comedy. The ceremony required the future Queen to wear ceremonial robes that weighed a ton, and though she'd practiced the entire ceremony beforehand at Westminster Abbey, she realized on the day that the carpets had been installed incorrectly. The fibers were all facing the wrong way. This caused some crazy friction between her robes and the floor, making walking pretty difficult. Instead of losing her cool, she simply asked for a little help from the Archbishop of Canterbury, but not in the way you might imagine. According to reports from the time, Elizabeth quietly leaned over and instructed the Archbishop to give her a push and help her on her way. Once she was officially Queen, Elizabeth refused to let her sparkle be dulled and never missed a chance for a witty one-liner or a laugh, even while she was being interviewed. Don't believe me? This was her response when asked if she kept a diary.
It's quite small.
But you write it in your own hand.
Oh, yes.
Yes, I think that's terribly important.
Well, I can't write any other way.
In fact, the Queen often had a hard time keeping a straight face at many official events. For example, in the 1980s, at a diplomatic reception at the palace, the then Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher was feeling poorly and had to sit down before she fainted. When the Queen noticed this, she turned to one of her ladies-in-waiting and remarked, "Oh look, she's keeled over again." Also, in the 80s, while touring New Zealand, the Queen was attacked by protesters throwing eggs at her. When she was asked about this a few days later, she was totally unfazed and said, "I myself prefer my New Zealand eggs for breakfast." What a legend! When politics is an excuse to poke fun. It seems as though being the Queen of England has given Elizabeth some comedic confidence, because she is not afraid to poke fun at herself or other world leaders. In 2007, during a visit to the White House, the Queen was stunned to hear President George W. Bush mention that she helped Americans celebrate their bicentennial in 1776 instead of in 1996. Even though he immediately apologized and corrected himself, the Queen teased him during a dinner later that week, when she started her speech by saying, "I wondered whether I should start this toast by saying, when I was here in 1776. Never mind a toast. That's a roast. And speaking of American presidents, they seem to be one of the Queen's favorite targets.
Sounds like President Trump. President Obama.
Oh, I bet Trump didn't see that one coming. During a dinner in 2015, the Queen was introduced by Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, who recounted her long and successful 63-year reign. When it came her time to speak, she opened by commenting on his speech.
Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister of Canada, for making me feel so old.
But that doesn't mean she has a problem with aging. On the contrary, she regularly uses references to her age as an icebreaker.
Are you well?
Thank you very much. I'm still alive.
And while she has certainly had a long career, the Queen has revealed that it has a major downside: the crown.
You have to keep your head very still.
Yes. And you can't look down to read the speech. You have to take the speech up. Because if you did, your neck would break, or it'd fall off.
But then again, not everyone is impressed by titles and crowns. Just ask the Queen's dogs.
You're not supposed to do that. I won't hear. Go away. I'm not here. Go and do your stuff.
Also, it turns out that ponies don't care about royal titles either.
No way.
I guess it's true. You can't impress everyone. Keeping it in the family. One of the most frustrating things about the royals is that they're a family and a business, and that's the main reason that they're always on their best behavior. But sometimes the line between family and duty becomes a little blurry.
Your Majesty, Mummy.
Thankfully for us, the Queen's family also likes to poke fun at the dual roles of the royal family. In 2005, Prince Philip attempted to prank the Queen by dressing up as one of Buckingham Palace's guards, but the Queen spotted him right away and could not keep a straight face while walking past her husband. It took several years, but Elizabeth managed to return the favour in 2019, when the couple was celebrating their 72nd wedding anniversary. During a public engagement, the monarch pretended to have forgotten the date, giving Philip a sneaky look before loudly asking the event organiser, "What's the date?" and laughing.
The Duke has the solution.
Stop it. Hey.
With the few times she's made us laugh while speaking in an official capacity, we can only imagine what the Queen is really like away from the limelight. Thankfully, we have a clue. Prince Harry once admitted that the Queen and the rest of his family are pretty funny, explaining, "My family is the same as any other family when it comes to humour behind closed doors." In fact, the prince and his grandmother have a special relationship, and he even managed to get her on board for a hilarious promo for his 2016 Invictus Games.
Message? Yeah, from Michelle.
Remember when you told us to bring it at the Invictus Games?
Careful what you wish for.
Oh, really? Please.
Boom.
But Harry is also behind one of the most surprising things about the Queen, her love of joke gifts. Apparently, the monarch encourages the family to get each other gag gifts instead of traditional Christmas presents, and one of her favourite gifts to date was a singing hamster she received from Meghan Markle. Bringing comedy to cultural affairs. One of the more fun aspects of royal life is probably the fact that you get to attend and host all kinds of cultural events. In fact, the Queen attends the Royal Variety Performance every year, an event that showcases the best music talent across the world in order to raise funds for charity. While she's a fan of music, Elizabeth has a very specific taste in music, and that doesn't include the Everly Brothers. In 1960, when the musical duo performed their hit called Cathy's Clown, the Queen was asked what she thought. Her response? "They sound like two cats being strangled." But that's nothing. She'd never even heard of Eric Clapton. When she met the musician at a Buckingham Palace event in 2005, she asked him, "Have you been playing a long time?" Thankfully, he wasn't put out by her ignorance and confirmed, "Oh, it must be 45 years now." Can you believe there's more? The Queen of England didn't recognize the Queen of Pop. Did you notice her mouthing the word "who" when Elizabeth met Madonna? She had no idea who the singer was and had to ask for clarity. At least Madonna didn't mind, if that smile is anything to go by. She may have a somewhat dated taste in music, but when it comes to fine arts, Elizabeth is in her element. But she does still draw the line at nudity. In the 1990s, she attended an exhibition by the famous painter Lucian Freud featuring several lounging naked ladies. However, the monarch was careful not to have her picture taken and told her aides that under no circumstances was she to be photographed between a pair of those great thighs. When one of the press who heard this remark asked her if she'd ever had her portrait painted by the artist, she smiled and replied, "Yes, but not like that." In fact, her painting looked like this. And just as she knows how best to pose for a portrait, she also knows how to put her best foot forward in a photo shoot. So when Vogue photographer Annie Leibovitz tried to direct the Queen during a shoot, it didn't end well.
I think it will look better without the crown. Less dressy, because the garter robe is so extravagant. Dressy. What do you think this is?
But in all honesty, the Queen is no stranger to cameras. Her royal duties often require her to film addresses to the nation, but in 2012, she surprised Britons and fans of the royals across the globe by appearing in a totally unexpected role alongside Daniel Craig.
Mr. Bond, Your Majesty.
That's right, the Queen is also a Bond girl.
Good evening, Mr. Bond.
And a natural actress. Did you know that she did this scene unscripted and actually improvised ignoring Mr. Bond? If you look carefully, you'll see her smiling. Apparently, she very nearly ruined the shot by bursting into giggles. She's also proved to be a fan favourite, as her clip with Bond has been viewed over 12 million times. Later, when she used her royal status for the ultimate fan treatment and visited the set of Game of Thrones, she had no problem laying down the law despite not being on the Iron Throne. In fact, as Kit Harington explained, she actually refused to sit in it.
They asked her, they kept trying to push her to sit down on the throne, and we kept getting told the same thing, which is she's not allowed to sit on other thrones, fictional or otherwise. And then they asked if she wanted to sit on the throne, and she said, "Looks very uncomfortable."
And though she couldn't have her moment on the Iron Throne, she did get to take home a miniature replica, which is pretty darn epic. But not as epic as the Queen's hidden talent. Did you know that the head of the royal family is actually amazing at mimicking and impressions? According to her chaplain, the Queen imitating the Concorde landing is one of the funniest things you could see. And while we really do wish we could see that, it's sadly not possible. Instead, I'll leave you with proof that Queen Elizabeth's antics are genetic. Don't believe me? Then here's Prince Charles proving me right.
Wondering what on earth it's going to say.
You're welcome. For more royal news, check out our other videos, and until next time, stay awesome.
We are all devastated by the news that we have just heard from Balmoral. The death of Her Majesty the Queen is a huge shock to the nation and to the world. Queen Elizabeth II was the rock on which modern Britain was built. Our country has grown and flourished under her reign. Britain is the great country it is today because of her. She ascended the throne just after the Second World War. She championed the development of the Commonwealth from a small group of 7 countries to a family of 56 nations, spanning every continent of the world. We are now a modern, thriving, dynamic nation. Through thick and thin, Queen Elizabeth II provided us with the stability and the strength that we needed. She was the very spirit of Great Britain, and that spirit will endure. She has been our longest ever reigning monarch. It's an extraordinary achievement to have presided with such dignity and grace for 70 years. Her life of service stretched beyond most of our living memories. In return, she was loved and admired by the people in the United Kingdom and all around the world. She has been a personal inspiration to me and to many Britons. Her devotion to duty is an example to us all. Earlier this week, at 96, she remained determined to carry out her duties as she appointed me as her 15th Prime Minister. Throughout her life, she's visited more than 100 countries, and she has touched the lives of millions around the world. In the difficult days ahead, we will come together with our friends across the United Kingdom, the Commonwealth, and the world to celebrate her extraordinary lifetime of service. It is a day of great loss, but Queen Elizabeth II leaves a great legacy. Today, the crown passes, as it has done for more than 1,000 years, to our new monarch, our new head of state, His Majesty, King Charles III. With the King's family, we mourn the loss of his mother, and as we mourn, we must come together as a people to support him, to help him bear the awesome responsibility that he now carries for us all. We offer him our loyalty and devotion, just as his mother devoted so much to so many for so long. And with the passing of the second Elizabethan age, we usher in a new era in the magnificent history of our great country, exactly as Her Majesty would have wished, by saying the words, "God save the King."
Oh, where's Mark? That's one. Can you just stand in? You gesture where the tape is. Oh, it's a bit hot, yeah. Go down a bit more. As low as possible. I'm the one to. Yeah, I wouldn't have to go to like Balmoral. Maybe. Oh, yeah, I know. I think everyone wants to. The trouble is, she's only got to be up there for 1 day. Yeah, right back. And then it all comes down here. Yeah. Charles is going back down tomorrow, so.